We are the flow. We are the ebb. We are the weavers. We are the web.
Hey tubesters, so I was gonna upload a different video today, but I might upload that one as well because I have plenty to choose from and I got plenty more content to make. But I decided to start talking about something that I've been wanting to do for a while now, and that is the 16 goals of a true witch. This is something that I found. Now, normally people will share or talk about the 13 goals of a true witch, and I didn't get fresh sunburn, y'all. This is just me. I used this pumice soap at work because my nose was starting to peel, and so I got all the dead skin off, but now it's like, it looks like fresh sunburn, but it's not. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so there was this lady, and since she's not on YouTube anymore, she was at least pagan, if not like a witch or Wiccan or something like that, but at least pagan. But because she's no longer on YouTube, and I don't even like, I haven't been able to like found her website or anything like that, so I'm assuming she doesn't want to be publicized, and it's not like I could ask her anyway. But these, I found, well actually I found them on an image first. I found, of course, the 13 goals of a true witch, and then I just happened to stumble upon the 16 goals, which included the 13 plus 3 more. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And usually I go for lengthier versions or versions of things that have more added to it because I feel you get a little more oomph or a little more sometimes guidance or whatever. I just feel like you benefit more from it, basically. Anyway, so I copied these and I do resonate with them a lot. It's kind of one of the things that I guess live by and practice. And another reason why I decided to do this video is because I was actually asked today as a witch. Well, the person said Wiccan first, and I respectfully corrected them and say that I'm not Wiccan, but I am a witch. And I told them the truth. Sorry, y'all, got this strand of hair that doesn't want to cooperate. But I told them that it is different, especially, and it's a little harder to answer because when it comes to witches, we tend to be even more diverse than, you know, your average Wiccan or pagan. At least when it comes to paganism, or more so Wicca, but even with some paganism, there's a little bit more, I don't necessarily want to say structure, but you can find some more common ground and denominators. And not to say that you can't with witchcraft, but it's just, it tends to be a little more difficult and diverse because some practices don't even use the word witch, so it's more of like you have to discern and infer that it's kind of the same thing. And sometimes it kind of is, but it's also not, so it's like, it's a whole thing. Anyway, so I have, because I resonate with them so much and I feel that they are true things to live by, I've put them in my BOC. Now, some of y'all are new here, but some of you are OG subscribers, not necessarily OG subscribers on this channel per se, but you've followed me on previous channels that I've had, so you know that when it comes to my BOC, it's one, spirited, and two, the cover's never shown, or the face is never shown. And that's kind of something that the spirit of the book and I have talked about, and so that's why I know that it's not a thing. But I will share with you some pages every now and then. Like, I know that I'll be sharing with you all this about pages. I plan on doing a Letha video and maybe even a few Letha based videos, and sharing them through Letha Tide. And one of them is going to include me, or a few of them might include, depending on how long it is, some pictures of, or videos rather, of me working on the Letha section of my BOC because it's still not done yet. Anyway, so I want to make about 16 videos talking about the 16 goals of a witch. And I know this one's going to be a little longer than the other ones because I've talked about other stuff, but I just kind of want to give you a little heads up of what's to come and why I wanted to start doing this. So the first one is Know Thyself. And I don't know if any of them really need to be in order, though I do think that it's really good. The order that they're in is really good and has a not necessarily good standing, but I feel that if you were to put them in a specific order, I feel like the order that they're in is probably the best. Because I feel that the other ones, none of the other ones necessarily triumph knowing thyself. And that's really what witchcraft, well, I can't say it's what it's all about, but it is a big part of what it's about. You need to know who you are, as best you can anyway, to the core. And that means like your personality, and what you believe in, your moral standing / moral compass, any ethics you believe in, philosophy, viewpoints of the world, of yourself, of others, any roles that you wish to play in this world. It entails a lot, honestly. Knowing thyself kind of ties into that whole, I believe it's within psychology, about self-actualization and self-realization and identification, self-identification and all that. I believe that's where it comes from. That's kind of what you start tapping into when you are going down the path of finding out who you are and learning who you are and then knowing and standing by it. And so I think that should be the first goal of every witch. I think it's also an inevitable thing, because even if you don't consciously delve down the path of yourself, so to speak, you end up learning more just by implementation of the craft and studying and practicing and trial and error and talking to other people and listening to others. And it's kind of like, I mean, it's inevitable within life in general anyway, but especially in magic, because it's a lifestyle. It's an old religion before there was dogma and rules. It's a belief system, and that's what the old religion was. That's what religion used to mean. It was, there's this saying that religion is not necessarily etymology per se, but where it's like, I feel like it's an esoteric type of etymology, where it means to like, so religion was supposed to be like relinking to divinity. I know I've heard some people talk about that, and I think it's called like etymologia or something like that. It's almost like an esoteric type of etymology study, where they break up words to basically boil down what it means and or the like hidden meaning of the word, so like what it actually means in the sense of like how it makes you be perceived or something like that. It's actually really cool. I don't feel like I'm explaining it very well. It's something I want to delve in a little deeper. I think it's really awesome, honestly. Anyway, knowing thyself is definitely a big part of it. If you follow you might be a little more Wiccan, or if you have kept some Wiccan viewpoints and beliefs and tenets or what have you as roots in your practice, then you may be familiar with I always call it the wrong thing, but I can't think of anything else than a tenet. It's associated with err as to know, and it taught that when you, what am I trying to say? To know includes that portion or that first goal of the 16, to know thyself. And so it's not just knowing the craft, or knowing your magic or something. It's knowing yourself. And knowing yourself kind of can give you reasons of why you're drawn to the craft in the first place. So that's why I kind of feel like even if you're unsure if you're a witch, you should kind of attempt to follow the 16 goals of the true witch, and especially the first one, and definitely like make that your first goal that you relatively accomplish. I mean, I don't think you're ever going to really fully accomplish this goal because we're always evolving and changing, but it will give you enough insight at least to decide if you should carry on the other goals first of all, and second of all, you know, this path of the craft. You know, there was I posted a comment on, I believe it was, yes, it was Darien Empires on her channel. I don't remember which video it was though, but I think it was her first witchy video, the one where she said that she's a witch now. I think it was that one. Anyway, I said that the call of the path, the call of the craft is very palpable, or something along those lines, and that it's very undeniable. When you really have a call to the craft, it's not something about you just dip your toes in or you dabble in. It's undeniable. It's something you can't shut off. Well, that's not entirely true. You can shut it off if you're really good at like denying yourself things. But if you're like a natural born witch, and that's terminology I don't necessarily use. I do use natural witch, but I use it differently. But for sake of keeping it simple to understand, I'm gonna use natural born witch in the way that it's used on like a pagan mainstream or witchy mainstream. If you're a natural born witch, then it's very difficult, almost impossible, to ignore that. Now, if you're a practicing witch, which is another mainstream term, then it is going to be a little easier for you, even if you believe that maybe your parents or whatever are just practicing witches, or they admit to just being a practicing witch and it's not really an innate thing. What am I trying to say here? I just lost my train of thought. Basically what I'm trying to say is, when it's a strong calling, it's hard to shut it off. It's almost impossible because it's part of your life path, part of your soul pattern for this life cycle, and it's most likely been repeated before, so you have a lot of experience with it in the first place. But it's important to kind of rekindle that. So in some ways, it's not just know thyself, it's like a relearning of yourself, especially if you're going down like past life work. I think that's all I really have to say. You know, it's very important. That's all I can really say, is that knowing yourself is a very important thing to do. It helps bring confidence, which I know is something that a few people talk about, you know, having confidence in your spell work. And, you know, you can't have it if you don't know yourself. If you don't really know yourself and what's in here and in here, then it's hard to be confident, because you don't have that. Confidence comes from security, okay? And if you're not secure about who you are, if you're unsure about yourself and what you want and what you like, then you have no security, there's no stability, there's no foundation, which means no confidence is really a byproduct from all those things. If you don't have those things, then you can't have confidence. And all of that ties in also to your root chakra, or chakra, excuse me. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm saying chakra, that's not how you pronounce it, but whatever. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so if you need to figure out how to tap into the primordial self, try doing maybe a root chakra meditation, and really tapping into building up that foundational platform and that security. You know, safety is heavily tied with the root chakra. So those are some tips on how you can work with it. You know, another thing that I can say is just read some articles and blog posts, and start learning about the lexicon, the vocabulary. If you're going to do any magical practice, let it be protection works first. speaking from experience of someone who did not start with that. It's not going to be fun if you're not being responsible, and you don't have to necessarily be ethical, but you do need to be responsible. I of course prefer you to be ethical, but I can tell you what to do, but it's not necessarily going to mean you're going to do it. So, but I do strongly suggest that you start with protection workings. And there's going to be a video that talks about why protection work is one of the most important things you need to do. It has to do with essence and how that's magical residue, or even another way to call it is spiritual residue, and how that can be traceable. So yeah, that's a video coming up soon. But yeah, know thyself. Very important. One of the first goals of a true witch. And I think everyone, natural born, witch or not, especially people who aren't witches, I think honestly everybody should go down the path of learning who you are, and it's very important. It's very comforting to have that, you know, and I think that's why so many people are followers. You know, it's one thing to follow someone because you like them, or you know, you want to just know their experience or whatever. That's fine. But when I'm talking about followers, I'm talking more about just like always at their coattails, so to speak, and almost to the point of trying to become them. You know, it's like it's okay to be different, and you know, so many people aren't okay with that. And if they learn something different about themselves, sometimes they get a little freaked out about it. But you know, I'm a boss-ass witch because I know myself and I'm confident in myself. And when you get that confidence, that true hardcore, not stubborn, but deeply rooted and secure type of confidence, that's when you get the fuck it attitude. Well, let me not say the fuck it attitude. So there's healthy and unhealthy fuck it and I don't care attitude. I'm talking about the healthy kind, of course. So it's the healthy fuck it, fuck 'em, I don't care, I'm being who I am, and if you don't like it, this is what I say. If you don't like me or you don't like what you see, your brain controls your eyeballs. Tell your eyes to divert their path. So, you know, and that's why I like to make these videos and share it, is because we all can be boss-ass witches. It's not just me, or it's not a single person type of thing. Me calling this channel the Boss-Ass Witch, yes, I'm saying I'm a Boss-Ass Witch because it's my channel, but in a sense I like to I'm sharing this channel, and so I want y'all to feel like Boss-Ass Witches as well, because you are. Just because you don't think so, or your boss-ass witchery is different from mine, it doesn't mean that you're not actually a boss-ass witch. It just means you haven't tapped into it yet, or that your boss-ass witchcraft is different, and different is okay. It's not necessarily bad, but it's also, it's not necessarily good, but it's also not necessarily bad. That's a video I also need to make. I have so many videos and not enough time to make them. Not enough storage space either. I had to delete some shit just to make this video. But yeah, I feel like I'm rambling now. So yes, you are a boss-ass witch, and delving into the path of knowing thyself is going to help you become that confident self, so you can be that boss-ass witch. Now, you don't have to necessarily be loud and proud, but that can be a result. So if that's something you want to be, just start going down the rabbit hole of who you are and what you like and what you want to do and who you want to be. Thank you all so much for watching. There's going to be more of these videos talking about the other goals of a true witch. I'm going to make a playlist actually, so feel free to subscribe to it, and then you'll get notifications on it. And as always, abundant internal blessings. Mwah.